Alright, today I'm going to be recording some iPhone 6 long screw damage repairs. So I've already removed the screw bracket and scored the board, the top layer, that ground plane, so that I can fillet off this top layer and just peel off the parts that I want to remove. So I did 3 of these last night, and out of the 3 of them, all of them had damage that went down into the 3rd layer. So hopefully, I've got 2 left. Hopefully these don't have 3rd layer damage, because I don't prefer doing that. Alright, so I've got that top layer taken off now, and I can see there's really some significant delamination here. Everything's really spongy in this area. You can see that trace lifted up there. Typically, this fat one over here and this one here, and then there's another fat one that runs through here. Those usually aren't damaged. It's normally these thin ones that get damaged. So what I like to do is just kind of expose a little bit of all of these traces down here near the bottom, or near the top of the board, I guess, but I'm right-handed, so I do this with the board upside down. So I'm going to expose just enough of these traces to really kind of get my multimeter on them. I want to be really careful not to cause damage that isn't already there, which sometimes there's just no avoiding it, but do my best not to cause damage. Alright. There we go. So there's 6 of them that are the main suspects, these 6. They're all exposed at the bottom now. Now I just need to expose the top ends of these same traces and test for continuity and figure out which of these I need to fix and which I don't. Alright, so a couple of these up here at the top are definitely going to have to be fixed. Alright, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These other spots are all ground, which I'll talk about in a minute. So let's see which ones of these are broken. That one's broken. This one I can clearly see is broken. That one's broken. This one's broken. That one's broken. And that one's good. Maybe this one's good. No. Nope, it's broken. Alright, well, one of them is good, which that's it's a nice bonus. Typically, at least for me, all of them are broken. I hardly ever see them where I only have to fix like 3 traces or less. Yeah, you can see where those 3 are definitely broken, obviously. So now you can see how it's kind of delaminated, and you know that the board, the layer that they're on, the second layer, has delaminated all the way up to here. So I have to be really careful because I don't want to cause a fracture in the traces along this edge by, you know, lifting up and down, back and forth, and breaking that. Because if I do that, then I'm quickly going to run out of trace to attach jumpers to. So the idea here is going to be to get these jumpers placed quickly and with as little heat as possible, which easier said than done. So I've got my jumper wire here that I use for long screw damage repair, and it is a strand of wire out of the vibrator motor for an iPhone 5S or 5C. The wire out of any of the iPhone vibrator motors will work, but I prefer the 5S and 5C just because the coating on it seems to be a little bit more sturdy than like the 4 or 4S. You know, it takes more to burn it off, so then I have less risk of causing a short accidentally by, you know, just touching a piece of the wire I didn't mean to and tinning it. But alright, one jumper down. As you can see, this is super easy. This iPhone 6 long screw damage repair, you'll see as I do it, it's really simple, easy to do. So, you know, if you were thinking this is a really hard thing and maybe I shouldn't do it, no, you should definitely just quit whatever job you're working, go out, get yourself a soldering iron, and start fixing long screw damage, because it's super easy and everybody should be doing it. Of course, I already know that like 100% of the people that are going to be watching this video are doing this for a living, so nobody's going to be quitting their job to start doing it. And of course that was a joke about how easy it is, but seriously, if you do think this is super easy and want to give it a try, by all means go right ahead. But just keep in mind that I do not take these for repair after a previous repair attempt. So when things don't go the way you want them to, I will not be bailing you out. Let's just make sure that's clear. This one is being a bitch because there's a piece of ground right next to it, and if I was smart I would have exposed part of the trace that wasn't near that ground, but I don't always do the smart things. Alright, that one should be good. There we go, number 2 down. See, Super easy. Everybody should be doing this. Just kidding. All right, come on. God, it's maddening when like the tiny little strands of copper cling to my tools. All right, you're good. Moving on. So I've had over, I know I've been doing this repair for about 1.5 years now. Maybe longer than that. I don't know. It seems like forever. But I've been doing this repair for a long time. And over that time I've had people ask me for advice on how to do it. And I've been very reluctant to offer any advice. And that is because just figuring out what needed to be fixed alone, you know, before it's something that Jessa and I worked on. She was the one that actually discovered, you know, these are the really important traces. We kind of mapped everything out, but you know, we had to do that completely on our own with no input or help from anywhere. So it's kind of like, well, you know, I don't know if I want to tell everybody in the world how to do this thing that I just figured out and nobody helped me with. And then there's also like the technique that I use, the physical way that I'm doing this, the way that I'm moving my hands, the parts of the wire I'm touching, and you know, all of that. It's like, this isn't how I did it the first time I tried it. You know, this is the culmination of this past 1.5 years, 2 years of trying different things and figuring out what works. And you know, it's, again, it's like hard-won information. But at this point, I'm just sick of doing these. So, you know, if you guys can take what I'm doing in this video and apply it to your own repairs, and then I can see less of these long screw jobs, I'm okay with that now. All right, we're getting there. That's 4 down, 1 to go. And for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to fully test all the functionality because that requires reassembling the phone. You know, for the video, I'm just going to test that that the LCD comes on, image comes on, because the typical, you know, main failure with long screw damage in the 6 is no image. So all of these phones, you know, before I work on them, do not have any image at all. So once I'm done, I'm going to boot it up, see if we have image, and then as far as the video is concerned, that's where it ends. But then, you know, once I'm done fixing both of them, I'll reassemble and then fully test, because you want to make sure, you know, cameras, flash, ear speaker, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, basically you should just do a full test of everything in the phone after these repairs. Alright, so there we go, we're done. I'll just get my wire out, use that on the next one. We'll clean off the flux and see if this bad boy will boot up. I guess I should mention that these wires that I'm working with, the jumper wires I'm using, they are the same diameter as a human hair, so very, very, very small. Alright, that looks good. Let's see if I can zoom out and catch this Apple logo booting up. That's all I really need to see to know that this is ready to be reassembled and fully tested. And we got nothing. All right. So, next thing to do is check the voltage. Check the voltages on these lines and make sure that I am getting the voltages that I need for video. Let's see. Got 0 volts, 1.8 volts, 0 volts. So that's not good. So this guy right here, he is supposed to have 1.8 volts, and it looks like there's probably, see how the flux is squeezing out there? So there's a break in that line here as well as up here. So I've jumped over one break, but I haven't addressed the other one. Well, I don't see a break there, so I just want to double check. There's two possibilities. Either the break is below that jumper, or the via at the top has detached from the third layer, which is not uncommon. Okay, so I do have continuity through there. Just see if I can solder this end a little bit better. All right, I'm going to test this again real quick. Again, we have 1.8 and 0.015. That is abnormal. Just checking to see if maybe like a little fleck of copper from where I was peeling it off got over underneath one of these chips, underneath the chestnut. No, it looks fine. All right. Alright, so I've got continuity. So this is the same trace that goes under chestnut here. I've got continuity from there to that via, but not out to the connector. Okay, so the break is over here. It's just not always broken. It's probably right up at the edge of this, or even under the trace there. That's for ear speaker. That's a pain in the ass. Why can't you just work, you fucker? Yep. Alright, so I have two options here. Either I can follow this trace back further and dig up under here and try to find where it's broken, and hopefully it doesn't go all the way back to this connector, or I can just run a long jumper from here out and around to the leg of the FPC, just to get that signal out there. So, not sure which one I want to do right now. My preference is always to keep my jumpers just in this area, just because it makes for a cleaner repair, and you know, it looks better. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. This little guy here, he's a diode, which I believe is for ESD protection for the ear speaker. I mean, he's on an ear speaker line, and every line that runs to something that actually faces the outside of the phone has these little diodes on it. So it just seems obvious that they must be for ESD protection. So I'm going to pick him up and turn him so that he is connected to the leg of the connector rather than that trace. And then we can go excavating. Just gotta do this without fucking up the traces I've already run. Ah, God, it's ground on the on this pad, so high thermal mass makes for a pain in the ass. All right, that is close enough. Now I can just come in here with a little hot air and make them sit just the way I want. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now let's lift this guy up and see what we're dealing with under here. Yes, I've had to do this before a few times. Really, I could just cut this trace out and run a jumper over to the filter when I'm done, but, you know, that's not cool. Peeling it up like that, that's cool. Oh, and I've got to fix my jumpers. Always a chance that the hot air is going to do that. Man, this thing delaminates so far back. And that was a half an hour. So this camera is going to stop every time I reach a half an hour. So like it doesn't give me any signal that that's happened besides just a slight little click So I'm not using a video camera. I'm using a like SLR camera that isn't actually designed for recording videos, but it does record them and they look better than the shitty Amscope camera. All right, got it. Get that other one off, and let's lay this guy back down. Actually, I'm going to do this one over here first. Just not getting it to lay down the way I want it to. And this is the nature of long screw damage repair. Sometimes you do a bunch of fucking work and you think you're done, and then you find out you're not. And you've got to go back in and redo basically everything you've already done, because it's all so tightly spaced that you can't really touch one thing without screwing up the others. But seriously, it's super easy. Everybody should just do it. There we go. And let's get you back on. There we go. That should be good. Feel good about this. I think we're going to get video this time. I'm going to trim this little hanger here off. Get rid of him. Trim this guy. Alright, clean the flux off, see what we're working with, and test again. Have a good feeling about this one. I think it's gonna be fine. Not gonna require any more work from me. It's just going to do what I fucking want it to, which is work. I've tinned up some of this wire, so I have to be careful that it's routed in a way that it's not going to be touching any of the ground. There's a lot of ground in here. There we go, good. All right, that should do it. I could get my multimeter and test for continuity through to the connector, but I'm feeling lucky. So let's just see what happens. Look at that. Fuck yeah. All right, well, we are 35 minutes in and one of them is done. Sweet. Things are going smoothly then. I've timed doing like a big batch of these so I could get a good kind of baseline average. And they average about 45 minutes a piece for me. So getting one done in 35 minutes, that's 10 minutes better than my average. All right, let's get the second one done. And then I can move on to my giant stack of data recovery to do, which is like the opposite of long screw damage. Long screw damage is super easy as far as troubleshooting. It's like, oh yeah, torn traces, fix torn traces, done. The data recovery jobs, those are a whole different animal. All right, so this really spongy. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm gonna bet that the via that's here, that's the trace that runs along this left side, is gonna be popped off, and I'm gonna have to dig down into the third layer here to get to it. That's it happens very, very often. Yeah, look at these fuck traces. So the reason why the iPhone 6 long screw damage is so much more severe than the 5S is because this whole, like the ring that the screw bracket is soldered to is connected to just a giant ground plane, as you can see. So rather than like in the 5S, you know, there's no copper in the center of that ring, so the screw can easily just cut right down into the board. And, you know, for people that screw it really hard, the ring can just pop off, which I'm sure anybody that has done 5S long screw damage or seen many of them, you see that ring pop off pretty regularly. Well, in the 6, the ring can't pop off. It's connected to everything. So rather than pop the ring off, it just kind of pops up and brings the second layer of the board with it. So you end up just with, rather than a cut here where this circle is with some, you know, cut screw, or, you know, screws cut and traces, excuse me, you end up with just random chunks of the second layer pulled completely up and broken. So there's no telling where the break is going to be. It's in a different spot every time. It's really just, it's a pain in the ass. So look at that sponginess, right? Now look at this. Try to wet it so there's better contrast. I don't know how easy it is to see, but there is a via there and a trace that runs down here that's broken there. But that via goes down into the third layer, and you can see that thing's springy. So there's no way that's still connected to the third layer. So what do we do about that? Well, we dig down into the third layer and find whatever's left of it. So this is all ground plane right here. And these copper dots are what's called thermal vias. So for those who don't know, a via is a vertical connection in the logic board between one layer and the next. These iPhone boards have 10 different layers that make up the logic board, and traces run in these layers, and when a trace needs to go from, say, layer 2 down to layer 3, it does so through one of these little copper dots, which is called a via. Now, these particular copper dots are all connected to ground, and they are what is known as a thermal via, which means they don't carry an electrical connection. They're not, carrying a signal from one layer of the board to the other. What they are is they help disperse heat within the board. Anybody that's familiar with building a PC or repairing PCs or laptops, you know that the CPU is cooled by a heatsink, which is a big block of copper or aluminum, which then has a fan on it. So inside these phones, they don't have room for heat sinks and fans. So what they do is, in the iPhone in particular, they make the body of the phone into a heatsink. But that just gets rid of most of the heat. But to actually get the heat from the CPU and out into the body, they've got to create paths for the heat to travel through. And those paths are ground planes within the phone, within the logic board. And that's what these vias are for. They're for transferring that heat from each layer of ground into the next. Disperse it out and into the body of the phone and then into your pocket. All right. It's a pain to expose these traces because I'm actually having to dig down into the board. It's just like hard to get an angle where I can get in there. God, all right, fuck this bunch of mess. You're just getting off of here. Fuck you, get out of here. Don't need any of that shit. Alright, so here's where that via was. Now I gotta find the trace that was running to it and expose it. And there it is. Alright, we're getting somewhere. Alright. Get that shit out of there. Let's see if I can get away with not repairing any of these traces. I'm going to guess the chances are very low that that's going to happen, but I can hope. Sometimes you get lucky. if any of them are still good, it's going to be these ones on the right here. I know the two on the left are completely fucked. I'm pretty sure these center two are equally as fucked. So I finally got the simulfocal head so that I can actually do this kind of work and record it at the same time. So that's pretty nice. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Yeah, I didn't think so. Ooh, lucky. Damn it. Alright, so it looks like these two guys are okay. But 1, 2, 3, and then the one on the far right are all going to have to get done. So I pretty much always do these the same way. I have just this, I don't know, like cookie cutter method that I approach these jobs. So every step is basically the same. And it makes it reproducible for me. So I don't come in here like randomly, you know, randomly cutting off the top layer or like scratching at it. You know, I do it, peel it off the same way every time. I always fix the traces from left to right. And it just, for me, I guess it helps me be consistent and have consistent good results. All right. Oh, I forgot to expose it down at the bottom. And somebody asked after I posted my 5S trace repair video what I was using to scratch here, and this is a medical grade carbon steel scalpel. They cost about the same as the hobby knives, but they are much stronger, and the tips don't break as easily. They do still break fairly easily, but they seem to hold up better than the hobby knives. Hobby knives just really frustrate me. They can't use it for more than 10 seconds without busting the tip off. All right, here we go. I like to leave a little bit of slack in these jumpers in the 6, just to give me some room to reroute them if I need to. Or, you know, if it doesn't work after the first try and I have to go back in and I accidentally desolder them, it's a lot easier to, you know, if I've got some slack and I can hold on to the line to help manipulate it, rather than just having them stretched like tight ropes. Alright, see? Super easy. Just, that's all you gotta do, is just do that. Just do that every time. These things are like every other repair. Just super easy, straightforward. Stick the wire down, move on. So I'm out of jumper wire now. So I guess you'll see me harvest some. This is my little vibrator motor that, as you can see, I've taken just about every bit of wire that's on it off. Gonna have to find another one soon. I think this is my last one too. There we go. Alright, now that I got it started, I can just take it off with my hands. It goes a lot quicker than trying to use the tweezers. Oh, alright. Just checking the time on the recording, and I got 7 minutes before it's going to make me start a new recording. So let's see if I can knock this fucker out in 7 minutes. Get 2 of these done in an hour-long video. Now what was it? The next 2 were good, but this end one was bad. Right? That sounds right. See, it's just super easy. All you have to do to be able to do these long screw jobs like that is just sit down, do 2 to 5 of them per week for 1.5 to 2 years, and that's pretty much it. Just do that, and the rest will come naturally. Alright, these all look good. I think they're gonna work. So So let's give this fucker a test and see if I can end this recording before it ends itself. Alright, there we go. Done. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Long screw damage, iPhone 6, my favorite repair ever. I love it so much, I do 5 of them a week. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.